Hello. Today I have Jodie Hawkes from Bowhill Engineering joining us on the Business Growth Mindset podcast. As the CFO of Bowhill Engineering, a second generation family business, people would say I'm ridiculously organized and a little OCD. However, Jodie loves to get the job done and stay focused with determination to ensure that goals and objectives are met. She loves new innovative ideas and seeing their development through to implementation. At Bowhill Engineering, they transform communities and their people by optimizing and building structures that matter. Their purpose is that together we thrive. Now, Jodie is also the chair of the Regional Development Australia Board, the Murraylands, and for the Murraylands and the Riverland. And she is passionate about providing big picture solutions to local problems, leveraging stakeholder networks to ensure that the region is recognized internationally as vibrant, world-leading circular economies with high-performing businesses, resilient communities, and individuals with a deep sense of well-being and connection with the world around them. So get comfortable and listen up, because today you will learn about the power of an outstanding culture, what it takes to build a company that makes a difference to the community, and how to build value.
Welcome to another episode of the Business Growth Mindset Podcast, Series 3. I'm your host, Kristian Livolsi, and I am incredibly excited, and I mean it, incredibly excited to welcome our guest and my friend, Jodie Hawkes, on the show today. Jodie, welcome.
Hi, Kristian. How are you today?
I am fantastic. I mean, I love how we always ask that question, but to our listeners, we've actually, as you all know, we are actually been on air already before, and then we edit it. So Jodie and I just had a bit of a chuckle. She said to me, "You're not actually going to show this on YouTube, are you?" And I said, "Of course I am." So just a caveat, guys, before I ask Jodie her first question. Jodie has just come out of isolation today. She has had the terrible bout of COVID along with her entire beautiful family, bar one, if I'm stand corrected. So, Jodie, thank you for making the time. I know that you are an incredibly busy person, and to make the time for me to be on this podcast for our listeners is a huge effort, considering how unwell you were last week. And I really do appreciate it. And on behalf of everyone, thank you. So I'm not going to ask you about your COVID experience. That one we're going to leave to you. But you're back in the office now. Look, tell us a little bit about you, where you have come from, and where you are today. And I think that's really important questions for you.
Yeah, really hard questions. Should be easy. So, Jodie Hawkes, I'm the current CFO of Bowhill Engineering, which is a second-generation family business, which is run by my husband, Jeremy Hawkes, as the managing director, and myself as the CFO. I've been in the business for about 20 years, and I came to be a part of the business by a form of tragedy when Jeremy lost his brother Simon to a motor vehicle accident. I was currently on maternity leave with my first child, Casey. She was 6 months old, and we got the terrible news of Simon's passing. He was the entrepreneur of the business. He was the driving factor. Everyone loved him, and Jeremy was just the lovable larrikin younger brother who was kicking his heels up and having a great time in life. So we made that decision to stand together, and I would stand by his side, and I would do whatever it took to help him make this business a success. My background prior to that was that I worked at the local high school as the old-fashioned term called a bursar, but did the finances there for 10 years. I've got 4 beautiful children, 3 girls, who are Casey, who's 20, Zoe, who's 16, Molly, who's 15, and a ratbag son, Cameron, who's 12, who is the light of our lives. And he's the one who didn't have COVID, so he's been riding his motorbike and having a ball of a time while we've all been stuck in ISO for the last 10 days. Yeah.
And go Cam.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, look, Jodie, I just want to quickly touch on the tragedy of losing Simon. I know that we've talked about this before, as we are friends, and it's incredible how a significant piece of adversity, totally life-changing for everybody involved, kind of took you guys down this this path, a path that, you know, Jeremy never expected, nor did you. So, you know, I'm assuming that would have been a big challenge at the time, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But talk us through. One thing that I really love about you guys is your love of family and your love of people, and it really comes through in your business, which is Bowhill Engineering. And you know, you're a wonderful success story of a family business, and I think that's really important to understand that it spawned from that significant tragedy that happened to Simon, because he was the person running. It was the visionary, and maybe we'll have Jeremy on the show another time, and people will then go, these two are like the yin and the yang. So, by the way, you know how Jodie said that her husband was a bit of a ratbag too when he was younger, and he still is. Nothing's changed.
No,
but a wonderful human being. Both of you guys and your children are just, excellent. They have fabulous values, and I think that's a great value that you've also taken through in your business. So, do you want to just talk to us a little bit about the business?
So, Bowhill Engineering, we specialise in heavy and complex structural steel. Basically, we build really big, cool stuff. I have been known to word the used shit sometimes just to grab people's attention in my elevator pitch. But what that converts to is building bridges, road bridges, pedestrian bridges. I think we've done about 15 on the Southern Expressway. Currently working on Ovingham, which is at Torrens Road, and have done the Regency to Pym bridges last year as well. So many bridges under our belt, and it's quite a telling tale because one of Simon's goals in life was to build a bridge, and he has been gone now for 20 years, and I think we've notched up 21 bridges in that time. So we're definitely dedicating them to him.
Yeah, and I guess he's probably watching over saying, see, I told you you guys could do it.
Yeah.
But you just talked about some significant South Australian landmarks, if I can. But you've also done a lot of national work too. And you've got some work in Sydney.
Sydney Gateway at the moment. We're building 3 bridges over there at the moment. Sorry to interrupt you, but because we've got listeners all over the world, can you just tell us where Bowhill Engineering is actually located, and tell us about how wonderful that location is? And for all the listeners, listen really carefully, because this is going to give you some context of how amazing this company truly is and how they've beaten, say, geography as a challenge. Jodie. Absolutely. There is a bumper sticker called "Where in the hell is Bowhill?" And basically, we are 1.5 hours east of Adelaide on the beautiful Murray River in a small town called Bowhill, and we are perched on the top of the river, on the cliff of the Murray River. And why are we here? It's because we were born here, our family's here, we love it here. Everyone who comes to our site goes, I get it now, I really get it. We just love where we live. We love the people. We love the community. It's a beautiful place to bring up a family.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, the first time I was brought up to Bowhill Engineering, part of the grand tour to suck me in was, let's take Kristian right to the cliff edge. And there is this, covered structure, grass, and it is the most incredible view that you could ever wish for. Whether it's on that particular day, it was beautiful. Like, it was blue skies. What's the paddle steamer? What's that paddle steamer called? Mary? It's the Murray Princess, and then there's also the Proud Mary. Right, Proud Mary. And on that day, that's what was coming. I'm like, oh wow, what a place to work. And you would never think that a large structural steel company, engineering firm, would be actually based right there and then. And you guys have a huge corporate responsibility program and a social responsibility program, particularly around the community. Do you want to just share that with us, please?
It's
also your other gig too. Let's not forget that you also have another gig.
There's so much we can talk about.
Yeah.
First of all, the sustainable energy side of things. We're working on a project. I haven't even got the name down pat yet, but basically we're going to share our energy within the community. We've got 100 kilowatt of solar. We managed to get a grant for the Bowhill General Store to get 30 kilowatt of solar, and the Bowhill Progress Association to get 30 kilowatt of solar. And what we're going to do is share that solar among ourselves, as well as any other community members who want to join the scheme. And that will fundraise money for the community, for community projects, but it'll also use, we've got a goal of being 100% renewables by 2028, and that'll help us achieve that goal. So what we're trying to do, part of our purpose, which we haven't really touched on, of our business, which comes right, I'll just go there now, it just comes right back to losing Simon, and we definitely spent the first 10, 15 years surviving and treading water and doing what we had to do just to survive. But we worked out that that was really hard work, and, we didn't want it to be at cost to our own work-life balance. We've got kids, we've got family, and family's paramount, and we know that life can change at any minute. So we wanted to definitely be living our lives as our true selves as best as we could. So we always said that if the business was going to be taking up too much of that time, then maybe it wasn't the right answer for us. But we've managed to make it work, and we had 3 tiers of our purpose back before Kristian joined our ranks, and that was having a sustainable work-life balance. It was having security, both for our staff and ourselves. I never want to be in that position again like I was when we lost Simon and we were financially hamstrung. And then the third prong of that is give back to our community, help our community thrive. And some people think of that as Bowhill's your community, but my community and our community is whatever you want it to be. For some people, it's motorbikes. For some people, it's camping. We've got a huge amount of guides who play footy. Community is what you want it to be. For me, community is our region. So that's where I come into being, I'm the current chairperson of the Regional Development Board for Murraylands and Riverland, and giving back to that community is that's my passion of looking at our community as a whole region, the Murraylands and Riverland, and going one river. How do we attract and retain people to our beautiful countryside and join the Murraylands and Riverland together and just showcase it to the rest of South Australia, if not the world.
And, apart from the fact that it's just so inspiring you talking like that, and, and for me, even though I know you well, and just bring together everything you said and tell our audience what your purpose statement at Bowhill Engineering is. And this will make sense to all of you. I'm going to let you do it.
Absolutely. It's together we thrive. And I get
goosebumps every time.
Pretty much cry every time I say it, because it means so much, not to me just personally, but it's about our relationships with our clients, with our customers, with our suppliers, with our employees, with our family, with everyone that we touch.
Look, Jodie, it captures the true essence of the people in the organisation and its extended networks. That's probably the way I have always described it, because when you meet anyone at Bowhill Engineering or anyone that's been involved in some way or form, and you say to them that our purpose is together we thrive, everyone just looks at you and goes, oh, yeah, that makes so sense for you guys. And it's such a, Jodie did mention, and from a caveat perspective, you would have probably seen Jodie and Jeremy feature a lot in some of my content. I'm actually the chair of the advisory council and the chief advisor on growth and strategy. So, and I have a very privileged position. I absolutely love it. And everybody knows, and all my clients know how much of a fan favorite I am, or how much of a favorite I am in relation to this organisation in particular and its people, because it really, truly personifies, that statement personifies who you all are as people. And it is not just top led. It is filtered all the way down to even suppliers who say the same thing. And it's such a great organisation. And anyone listening, I really do encourage you to check out Bowhill Engineering. They've got an excellent website that's very informative. Sometimes there's a couple of broken links on it. Let's just and that's a joke between Jodie and I. And if Bonnie's listening, she'll be irritated by that. But no, nonetheless, it's just an internal joke. But more importantly, I think it's very informative. But I think where you've totally changed the way people think is that, geography is not, it's not an inhibitor of growth, okay? And, it's just how we tackle it that makes the difference. So, thank you for sharing that. And now I want to ask you another question, which kind of leads into where we have, and you and I have talked about this before, but what's the biggest challenge, Jodie, that you're facing in your role, right? Not so much in the business, but in your role right now, and how are you tackling it?
Taking my girlfriend's tagline, I think I'm the master juggler. I've got so many balls up in the air, and sometimes they come crashing down around me. But what I'm working on within my personal life within the business is sharing the load and bringing on 3 levels of leaders and empowering our team to take ownership and to drive with the goals that we've set.
Yeah, and again, I'm in a fortunate position where I can testify that is actually what is happening. We've got some very strong accountability goals around the growth of our people. The company invests really heavily in the growth of, and as a board, we challenge sometimes how much we spend on people, but never once do we say it's money not well spent. And it's a really good example, isn't it, Jodie, of when you invest with the right people, in the right people, the outcomes, maybe you want to share some of those outcomes in terms of, actually, I keep forgetting that I know all this, but our listeners don't. Maybe just talk about this 3 levels of leadership idea and where it spawned from and I guess the journey for some of our listeners who might be sitting in the same position where they haven't actually focused on that next tier and find themselves like, oh, wow, I've got so much to do.
Yeah. So we had about 6 years ago, we did our strategic plan and we executed that extremely well, and we pretty much achieved what we'd set out to achieve in that 5-year plan. And then COVID hit and life was different, and we decided, well, we wouldn't renew our strategic plan in the first year of COVID because there was too much unrest. But coming into the second year of COVID, I was like, well, hold on, we need to be doing something. We can't just, disruption's always going to be here. There's always going to be something. We need to actually revisit our strategic plan. And I had a fair bit of pushback from our leadership team at the time. We were doing very well. We were meeting our goals. We were financially secure. We were growing. And they didn't really feel the need that we needed to redo or rehash another strategic plan. But there was something in my gut that told me that we needed to do it. And I think what it was that I felt that I was the driver of the business. I felt that it was up to me to keep, I'll say the word, crack the whip and hold everyone accountable. And that is exhausting over an extended period of time. And as you are growing, it gets harder and harder to do. And I was feeling the pressure of having to, I was just feeling the pressure. So that's when I started looking into other options of redoing the strategic plan. And we got quotes from a variety of people. We're in a group called Tech, so we have extremely good contacts. We reached out to a firm in Sydney who we've used for other means, and they're really high up and well respected. And then I come across Kristian. And this is what he wants. He wants me to give him a plug.
No, not really, actually. We didn't go there. I get embarrassed when people do this. So
left of centre, I reached out at a particular time. It was about one of his podcasts. I won't say what, or the imposter syndrome. Yeah. And we hit it off immediately. And I was quite surprised of the time and attention he gave to my problem, and I felt for the first time I was really being heard. I felt that he actually got my problems and where I was going, and got him to come on board. And so that's when I pitched it to the team, and I left it up to the team to choose who they wanted to go with. I prepared the 3 quotes, and, we all agreed that we didn't really know what we were going to get if we went with Kristian, but it has been an amazing journey. And that started off with Kristian coming to our site and interviewing all of our staff, our board members, the shareholders. And, he really got the vibe and the sense of who we were and what we were trying to do. But at the same time, he also alerted us to the fact that we've got so much information going out to staff and they're so confused into what our message is. Let's try and simplify and really hone in to what our values and our purpose are. And so that's when we rehashed our purpose, our Together We Thrive. We come up with our 4 core values, and we come up with our 4 core competencies. And we've really tried to make that narrative much more simple for our outward-facing employees and clients so that they can quite clearly understand our culture. And so from that all worked really well. We went through that process, and part of that was Kristian providing a bit of mentorship to myself and Jeremy all the time. He'd become a part of our board and took on the chairperson's role, as he's alluded to. But I think what the biggest win that we've had in this space is that he's mentoring all 5 of our leadership team, myself included, and different amounts of time for different people. But because he has the overarching strategy, he understands our culture, and he has an intimate relationship with each of our leadership team, we are able to grow that team, and we're all in sync. And I think where Jeremy and I were trying the best we knew how, we didn't have the tools in our toolkit to know how to motivate people well enough and understand that we have their best interests at heart, and maybe we weren't showing them enough of dangling the carrot of where they could be. We were expecting them to grow into what we hoped they would be, but we didn't really know how to best leverage that opportunity. And Kristian's pulled all of that together for us, and we're on this leadership journey with 3 levels of leaders.
Jodie, I want to say you didn't have to say all those things, but I know what a genuine, authentic person you are, and thank you. I'm not sure that the colour tone of my pigmentation of my skin is reflecting it, but I am blushing and I am very moved I had goosebumps all over my body, because at Boweng, what we've done, Boweng, by the way, is our abbreviation internally. Bowhill Engineering, they've really used the core as the heart centre of the organisation. And even as I say that, I'm just covered in goosebumps. You can't see it because I'm wearing a long sleeve top, but you just know when you've nailed it. And as Jodie said, they did an amazing job before I came along, and they're an amazing organisation. I feel like I'm the one that's privileged to be there serving and being part of it, because there's no way I would have ever, in my serial entrepreneur journey, embarked on owning a large steel manufacturing business, and the caliber of people. They really do say country people are another breed, and it's such a privilege to serve you guys. And I want to thank you for sharing that, because I hope that everyone out there it's absolutely nothing to do with me. It's the people and the foundation that was set before I was able to come along. And I think the part that I would love people to take away from there is being independent. There is this huge benefit, even when you're an outstanding organisation, to bring in someone who is on a helicopter and can give you just total independence, right? Like just give you independent advice and be able to stand back. But you've got to find the right person. And I think that's the other message. Jodie, absolutely did not know what they were getting themselves into. Almost every one of my clients says that. Maybe I just don't sell myself well at the front end because there's this enigma part of me, maybe. I don't know, but I get that a lot. And then people are like, oh my gosh, it was like the best decision. And I'm like, thanks. But you actually made a decision. And that's really important. You hear me say this to our team. I say it on half of my videos. It is not the circumstances or the scenario that defines us. It's the decisions we choose to make. Now,
Absolutely.
Some people make no decisions. And we talked about this when we did the strategy review, didn't we? And we said we probably should have done this 6 months earlier. But guess what? 6 months earlier, I would not have been available. So it's one of those things that sort of happens, and it happens very organically. So one big advice that I have for people is don't try and fight or resist where you're going, right? But always be aware. And look, Jodie, if you haven't gathered, is one of the smartest people I work with, and she is the queen of numbers. If you want to see numbers and you want to see spreadsheets and you want to see data, she's the best. So being the chair is actually really easy because I only have to look at really good numbers. And I go back to my team and say, hey, guys, yeah, I wish I could show you some reports, but I can't. But can we please talk about this? And they're like, where are you getting this motivation from? I said, one of our clients, and I think we should have this data. I want to ask you a different question, right? Now, what should I ask you, right, that I don't know enough to ask?
Oh, that's really, really hard.
That is one of my favorite questions. And I didn't come up with it myself. I stole it from another podcast.
You could have given me a bit of warning. I don't know, to be honest.
You know that I like putting you on the spot.
I really don't know. I need some hints. You've stumped me. You say that I know numbers. You say that I have all these spreadsheets. But, a really interesting fact about me is that I know I do not retain data. I cannot spill facts and figures off the top of my head. You ask me exactly what our numbers are right this second, I do not know off the top of my head. But they're only a button away. I can press the button and I can find them. I learned a long time ago that I've got too much stuff going on to try and keep it in my head. So I need to have the systems there to help me, to support me. You know all about my systems, but they're there because it's hiding my flaw of not retaining information.
It's really interesting you say that because you're right. Now that you say that, I actually go, oh, yeah. Because you and I have had conversations where I know the numbers and you look at me going, how do you remember that number? And then I'm thinking, and I've ignored it because I'm thinking, but now it makes sense. But you said something that's even more important than that. And I think this is a really good message for the listeners today. Systems. Systems are, how can you put it? We talk about it as a face and pace, don't we? Like we talk about it as a pace, like process accountability mapping. It's actually a Vern Hanisch theory or concept that's come from scaling up, and it's one of the things that we implemented at Bowhill. And you already had excellent systems, and what we did is added this extra layer around accountability to almost everything. And but you hit the nail on the head when you're juggling, and you said one of your biggest challenges was juggling all these balls, right, and all these plates. But you actually do a really good job of it. It's quite impressive. And you are the person that pulls people together, but that dependency on you is becoming less and less and less because that's what one of our goals is for the next 2 to 3 years. But systems is the lifeblood of making sure that you are able to get through what you need to get through without the cracks appearing, right, or without fractures getting bigger. So I want to move away from that for a second, right? And I want to ask you what your biggest failure has been and what did you learn from that experience?
I don't know.
Vulnerability here at best. I love it.
Again, I'm struggling to... You're going to have to help me out here, Kristian.
All right. So So let's think about it, right? And remember, you know me well enough to know that failure to me is not a bad word.
No,
okay.
no.
So anyone that knows me knows failure is part of the success formula. If you don't fail, it's very hard to actually succeed because, so let's start small. What's the smallest little failure experiences that you have maximized to your advantage in your everyday life?
Well, if you convert it to the word challenge, like I can answer that, the challenges that we've been faced. But when it goes to failure, I don't see things as failures. And that's why I'm having such trouble recalling, because it is what it is. And you pick yourself up and you move on and you make something positive of it. And I can't literally say what the failure is, because everything that has happened in our lives has happened for a reason. And
can I give one example?
Yeah.
You know exactly where I was going to go with that, didn't you? I'll let you just for the purpose of the exercise, so we maintain confidentiality. Don't have to mention the project or what it was, but talk us through how it was handled, because I think that clearly demonstrates the type of organisation, the type of people that we have from the top down to the bottom, and how everyone works together to achieve a common goal.
Now, funny, because I'll talk about this project, but my aha moment was probably that I made my husband be too reliant on myself.
I was going to say that was the one I was hoping you were going to bring up, but then I thought, actually, don't bring up bring that one up. I mean, I think that's a really good example. And then how is that being managed? Like how are we taking that to the next step? Yeah.
Well, everyone who knows me knows that I'm a tough love kind of person. I have deep empathy and caring for people, but I don't believe I baby people and do too much for them. Jeremy's mum, on the other hand, cannot do anything without her offering her a cup of tea and a scone, homemade scone, and fussing around and that. Jeremy's always had to get his own lunch, do his own thing. We've got systems and things in place. But what's come to light with talking with Kristian over the past, 6 to 12 months is how reliant he is on me, because I've just taken the reins in so many spaces within our personal and business life. And that sometimes when I get overwhelmed and those got too many balls in the air and I'm asking him to take his share of the load, he is the most kind and caring and gentle person and would do anything for me, but I have to ask. And once I tell him what to do, he'll absolutely do it, but he hasn't had to actually work that out for himself much over his lifetime. And so what we're realising now, for me to feel less pressure, is I need him to organically stand up and take charge in more situations. And that's really hard to say.
And he's doing a really good job of it. Because this is and what I love about you sharing that, I was hoping you were going to share that, because I have the privilege, as you know, of working with a lot of amazing women, right? A lot of people think I'm quite the alpha, but I actually, 85% of my client base are successful, entrepreneurial women who either work with their husband or work in their own company they've founded. And it's so empowering for me, being a white, privileged male, to be able to work with these incredible people like you. But what I have learned by working with so many women is this mental load that you all carry. And it's, and for you, it's huge. 4 children, the RDA, the business, Jeremy, and, you are going to get you will all meet Jeremy one day, because I'm going to bring him on air. You have to, because you'll see why these two are so amazing, not only in their own individual right, but when they come together. And I think for you, Jodie, this was really hard. When I confronted you on this, you were just like, no. And I'm like, yeah. I said, let's be accountable, right? And what we've done is we've worked as a team, me, you, and Jeremy, of how do we do this to support each other? I mean, these guys have like an hour of power every morning when they walk. They get up really early at the crack of dawn and smell the sub-0 degree temperatures, and they're out there walking. And even that, what had happened, if I can, they'd started to not make that about their life, and it became work. And and then when they were away from each other, because you travel and stuff, then that wasn't happening. And so there were some of the steps that we just went, hang on a minute, you guys do that really, really well. Let's make those walks about you two. And then let's create a huddle where the CFO is talking to the managing director. And it's little things. And again, this goes back to having someone that's completely outside of the organization looking inward, saying, hang on a minute, you guys do all of these things really, really well, but you've broken your own system.
Yeah.
Right? Because, hey, guys, truth out there is we are busy. Everyone is busy. You do not become successful if you aren't busy. There's very few. I mean, yeah, even Mark Zuckerberg, he's worked a lifetime to create Facebook. You know, Jeff Bezos. So these aren't just overnight successes. These are people that have worked day and night, no different to everyone listening on the show today. And I think what's really true and beautiful about this, and thank you for sharing, is the vulnerability you have to have if you want to grow. You know, like Brené Brown's work, you've got to be prepared to be vulnerable, step into that arena to allow yourself to grow. So I want to ask you this question, and this one's going to be a lot easier, but if you could turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell them?
To run.
Run away or run? Explain that to me.
So Jeremy and I are childhood sweethearts. We got together when we were 15. I went off to Adelaide for a few years and, finished off my high school education and my first couple of jobs in legal firms. But I, come back to the country. I missed the country. I missed working with genuine people and the lifestyle that it afforded me. And even in the early years of our marriage, never in a million years did I think this is where I would be. Never did I think I would ever work in a family business, be located in the country. It is so far-fetched from the goals that I had for myself, but I've achieved way more than I ever expected. And I reflect upon that. If you look at it at your school anniversaries, where were you at 10 years from school, 20 years from school? And it doesn't matter where you are working or what you are doing. It's whether you love what you do. And I absolutely love what I do here. And having the family business that I've pretty much got free reign of everything non-operational. So I have learned IT, marketing, finance, strategy, got my finger in every pie within the business and have been able to upskill myself in so many different areas that wouldn't have had that opportunity if I was shoeboxed into a corporate world somewhere else. So when I set out, and I was accounting, legal, I'm not really sure what I was wanting to do, but I took a gap year and I went and worked at the local high school. I just never looked back because it was the people that I was working with that gave me so much. It filled my cup, it filled my soul.
It's so beautiful to hear your reflections, and I sum it up as this: fulfillment. Right? We spend an entire lifetime, and anyone that knows my story knows, I spent so much time trying to achieve shit. And when you finally achieve everything you set out to do and you do it, you realize that there's nothing really there. You're quite empty. It's hollow. And for me, the awakening is what you've just described. When you achieve total fulfillment, everything is complete. And I love how you summed it up that, it doesn't matter, when you turn up to your high school reunion and, I've seen guys turn up in helicopters and I sit there and go, are you happy? And then you sit there after a few drinks and they're having a chat and they're like, no, man, I see you with your family and the way you are, and, I hear your clients and you love your job. Like, hey, I live with purpose every day. It is my tagline. It is my purpose statement. And for you, Jodie, I love how you just summed that up, because I think that's what separates not just you, but all the people that that are successful. And not successful is never a measure of money. I always say to people, it's not wealth that defines your success; it's your happiness, right? It's that fulfillment, it's that ability to flourish. So I think that that's really excellent. And maybe another day I'll ask you, what advice would you give to someone to find that? But that's a very long question.
I've got one little statement about that. It's the journey. It's not the destination. Be happy with where you are right now and enjoy the journey.
So can I ask you then, so if, and we're about to wrap it up, right? So what's the most important thing that you've learned in your life?
It's not about having, I'm definitely not the smartest person in any room. Don't have a
She's pretty smart, really. Don't believe her. She's bloody humble. She's very smart.
No, I just think what I do have is discipline and good habits. And it's all about 1%. 1%, are you drinking enough water? Are you having enough sleep? Are you eating the right foods? 1%, are you going out for your daily walk? All these little
I'm laughing. You have lectured me on this many a times too. So, and by the way, every relationship has to be two ways, right? Okay, so, even though I might be chair and I might be the chief advisor, I get schooled from time to time from Jodie, particularly when I haven't been well. I had, some challenges with my health, and Jodie's always like, the 1%'s, Kristian, are you drinking enough water? Are you doing this? And it's so true. Your discipline, as I said, I learned from my clients, and I think that you have made me, you and Jeremy combined, and the team have made me better at my job. But you're absolutely right. It is those 1%, right? And I think that's excellent advice. Now, with this new series, we are wrapping it up with Fast 5 and 5. So you don't have much time to think about these questions, and you've got to try and answer them quickly. What makes you feel inspired?
Having robust conversations that matter with people who generally, push me outside of my comfort zone, aka you.
Oh, another plug for me? No. Okay, I love it, but that's true, and I feel very, very grateful for that. And obviously that's exactly what I try and do. So I'm really pleased. What's the best compliment you've ever received, Jodie?
Ooh. I like to be referred as the person who chocks the wheel at Bowhill Engineering. Everyone else can come up with the ideas and the innovation, but I love backing it up and making sure that idea doesn't get lost, that we build it into our systems so that everyone in the future can. I can
definitely testify that you do that all the time. Nothing ever gets lost.
No.
3, if you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Hopefully someone who was strong and who cared. Again, the empathy might not be in the soft, touchy-feely side, but there's nothing that I won't do for those people that I care about, and that includes every single staff member and all of our clients as well.
And I think you're living that legacy. So, again, anyone listening, I think is probably thinking the same. Best book recommendation. I know you're a reader, so best book recommendation.
I thought you might ask me this question, so I was going to plug,
Stop the plug.
No. I do refer back to that. There's lots of great little tidbits, and it's a book I've tried to get you to read, but I'm pretty sure that you have refused to read because of who it is, Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights.
No. I have got it. I bought it. I just haven't got around to reading it.
Don't read it. Listen to it.
But I think. Hang on, maybe I got it downloaded on Audible.
Yeah. A, his southern drawl, but B, it's the unexpected wisdom that comes from people who come from diverse backgrounds and who have made it on their own 2 feet without any handouts. I love that.
Just in case anyone missed that, we're going to have that in the show notes, so don't stress, right? And look, my favourite new question, and I have stolen this from another podcast because this is tough and you've only got a minute. If you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it be and why?
It'd have to be Together We Thrive and picture of the beautiful Murray River with all our guys and bridges in the background. Actually, let me rephrase that. It'll be a cantilevered lookout over the cliffs of Bowhill Engineering.
Which is the master plan. I was reading the document you gave me. That master plan, if that could come to fruition, would make that whole landing at Bowhill Engineering probably one of the most spectacular places in South Australia. Like, I haven't spoken to you about it, and all of you are going to be like, where are you guys going? It's nowhere. We're about to wrap this up. But we're probably going to talk about that when I speak to you next, because I was blown away. I went through that whole document and I was like, oh, wow, this looks amazing. And
that is my passion piece. That is what I work towards.
Well, put it this way, I'm going to help you achieve it, because I think that is something that would allow so many people to enjoy the space, and it would bring a total new life to such a beautiful part of Australia. And we're so very blessed that that's our home. Jodie, it's been, and I say this, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today, and I thank you, particularly knowing that you've spent a whole week and a half quite ill. You haven't shown any signs of that, and I want to take this time to thank also our listeners. We value you, and I know that there are hundreds of other podcasts, right? In fact, there's hundreds of thousands of other podcasts out there that you could watch, but you've chosen to listen to ours, and that gives me great comfort in knowing that I can ask amazing people like Jodie to join us and sharing her story. Now, make sure you visit the show notes, because that's where you're going to find all the useful links, the notes from the show, the book recommendation, but also, and I'll also put up Bowhill Engineering's website so you can actually go and have a look at this amazing company, but also this beautiful location. And make sure you connect with Jodie. Jodie's quite active on LinkedIn, so we'll put your URL there, and just connect with her. And Jodie loves feedback. So, and you do love feedback. It's one of the reasons why you grow. So please, if you have anything you want to share with Jodie, connect with her. Tell her that you watch the show, and then she might connect back with you. A massive shout out to my team, as always, at the Business Growth Mindset, Growth Outsourced, and Medias to Charlotte, our advisory firm, for their support, but also their resilience in putting up with me. And by the way, anyone who hasn't subscribed to the podcast because you've just stumbled across it because you saw Jodie's name, please do. And remember that you need to change those notification settings. Otherwise, you will miss future episodes. And Jodie, we don't want that, do we?
No.
Right. So, Jodie, again, thank you so much. And again, thank you for all those amazing kind words that you said about me. That was absolutely not my objective, but I am now going to tell the team to edit that and use it everywhere, because you are amazing and you made me sound way better than I am. But ladies and gentlemen, until next time, live with purpose.
Are you ready to start taking action on your business? Would you like to spend more time with your family? Then call 1300-643-229 and start building momentum right now. I know you're busy. In fact, you are so busy that you don't have time to work on your business or yourself. Often tossing and turning at night, worrying about the how-tos and the cash flow. How on earth can you possibly get off the hamster wheel so that you can take a helicopter view to see where you'll be in 90 days, 1 year, or 3 years from now? In this program, I will take you from sleepless nights to blissful sleep. You'll have more time with your family, and you will have the clarity and direction so you can grow and flourish. Call 1300-643-229 now and start building momentum.